Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a Sunday special for us, for you guys. I'm joined by five distinguished gentlemen. Let me call on them one by one. First off is my favorite co-host and my anchor during commentators, Coach Mike Perez.
Good evening, everyone. Brian, it's always been very good to be working with you. It's good to be back here at Sports Bytes.
But it's been a long time because I've
Yeah,
been
been
busy.
a long time. Been a long time. Been busy, but sports always has a space for us. So very good to be back here in Sports Bytes.
Yeah, and of course, if Coach Mike is there, we have another veteran coach, the one we Coach Mike and I love to talk with. We have Coach Chris Daleo.
Great. Thank you very much. And I'm great to be back here with Mike. I love talking basketball with Mike, so it's been great. George, you're
Same
okay,
here.
but Mike is great.
Same here, Coach. Same here.
And of course, we what good is the show if we don't have a historian, a veteran journalist, Coach Sir Henry Liao.
Good evening to everyone. You guys there, hope you enjoy our discussions tonight.
All right. And we need syempre insiders. We need insiders for whatever we're gonna talk tonight. I pulled him. He's been aching to join us. Welcome, Aldrin 3B Hoops Magnaye.
Yo, good evening. And I'm your friendly neighborhood. So, nandito ako sa Sports Bites. Just watch and sit back and take a sports bite. Hindi ko alam kung ano English yun. So, yun na lang. Magiging masaya tayo dito. Nahihirapan na ako mag-English. Nagtatagalog na lang ako.
And for the first time, I'm very honored to finally have him on the show. He's a very, very good gentleman that I've met. He's oozing with knowledge. Welcome, Dr. George Sarakinis.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm excited already.
Yeah. If you guys only knew how much we talk, me and Dr. George talk, you'll be surprised at the tons of knowledge he has on basketball. So before we start, I'm going to give it to Coach Mike. Coach Mike, you'll be the main moderator for tonight.
All right, thanks, Brian. So, distinguished guest here at Sports Bites. Again, we'd like to welcome everyone. Well, before anything, of course, I'm sure a lot of you are already very familiar with Coach Chris Daleo, who's been in podcasts here in the country, and Mr. Henry Liao, of course, who doesn't know the guy? He's an NBA historian in the country, of course, 3B Hoops. I think it's a good time to get to know a little more about Doc George, a little more about his background. I understand he's been a lot into different types of sports, and he's done basketball as well. So, Doc George, why don't you tell us something about your background, how you got into this oozing love for sports?
Well, loved sports since a little kid. As you know, in Germany, it's compulsory to have sports in school already, very early. So, and from there, I started, in fact, to play basketball. I liked the game. Plus, I was learning English at that time. I was about 6 years old, six,
Mhm.
yes. And I got a TV for American Forces. It's the American Forces Network in Germany. And I always saw that game on TV and I liked it. And once we played it in school, I I asked where can I go and join a club. And they told me there and there. I went there, I liked it. And from then on, I just loved the game. Later on, I went into canoeing, which I love also so much. And there I was really also in the national team of Germany. So, well, any kind of sport, I did it all my life. I like to watch sport, any kind of
Mhm.
sport,
Mhm.
and Olympics or European championships or world championships in any kind of sport. I just watch it. I love it. Yeah, it's so
Wow, that
entertaining.
That
Mhm.
that's very interesting, Doc. I'm sure some of the panelists also would have questions with you. But this country's the Philippines is got this big, huge love for hoops and basketball. You mentioned earlier that you started hoops when you were about 6 years old. What
Yes.
part of the game do you play? Are you a point guard? Are you a shooter? Are you a
Yeah, both.
penetrator? Oh,
Yeah,
so
well, as you know,
you're doing more guard.
well, of course, I'm very short. I'm only 6 foot, so I was a guard, and well, I was a very good 3-point shooter, and
Mhm.
well, as you know, basketball is the game, the team game for individualists. So if you're not really also a good individual player, you will never be able to play basketball in a team. And
Mhm.
after a while, also the coach uh, told me to be his right man on the field. You know how it is between coach and guard. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Hmm.
So
So that's
eventually understand, Coach Doc, that you also ventured into coaching later on in your basketball life.
yes, yeah. I had my first team. I was, I think, 18 years old. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had my first youth team, and then I made my coaching license in the age of 20. And well, we have several licenses in coaching. It's like also for refereeing. Um, so my first license I made when I was about 20, somewhere there. Then after that, I met, of course, other coaches, and where I'm very proud of, I put up basketball camps for kids, and this was very successful. We did it in 4 cities in Germany the first year, and I organized everything: where they sleep, what they eat, buses to transport, where they practice. It was a lot of work, but it's so much fun. Later on, we look for talent inside the camps, because I got the best coaches in Germany to
Mm-hmm.
train the kids for 1 week. So it was really fun, and we could see the talent. So we built out
Mm-hmm.
of that. We built new teams from each region, and we play against each other. And then we made some programs with the U.S., with colleges and universities, where we would send later the very talented players. And also, it was like a school where you go to school in the morning, and directly after school, you go to the gym and play basketball with the best coaches in Germany. Doesn't
Well,
matter in which club you are.
uh-huh. Well, basketball, I think basketball, is it correct for me to understand, Coach, that basketball is not really the primary sport in Germany? Back in the day, during your time, how difficult was it to, find really good talent? Or did the country already have a pool of players that's really good in basketball back in the day?
Well, when I started, of course, it was quite an unusual sport. The main sport in Germany is of course football, the soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and also handball and things like that. Basketball was more kind of exotic sport until I had the basketball camp,
Mm-hmm.
because out of that basketball camps, one of our first talents was Detlef Schrempf.
Yeah.
The next one was Dirk Nowitzki, which is quite known
Mm-hmm.
here. Those people
Yep.
went through my camps and went through the programs. We sent them to the US. And then it happened that German won the European Championship, Germany, because of those players. And suddenly
Mm-hmm.
the sport became more interesting. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
was shown on TV. Otherwise, you could only see it on American TV.
Right, because nowadays you've got a more number of German players already in the NBA, and I see Sir Henry here nodding his head once you mentioned that NBA personalities. I'm sure he's got a question for you, Sir Henry. You got anything for Doc?
Okay. First of all, there are other German players now. No? You have Dennis Schroeder of the LA
Right,
Lakers. You have
Schroeder. Right.
Maurice Wagner. Maurice Wagner, no, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. Steve from the Lakers, he moved to another team. But I'd like to point
Right.
out, I think one of the biggest contribution of the Euro basketball is the Euro step. The Euro
Mm-hmm.
step was really something that the NBA had to adapt, because if you see a lot of players, American players at that, they're trying to learn that step. But
Mm-hmm.
during our time, maybe 2 decades ago, some people, the purists, the basketball purists say that's traveling, that Euro step. How would you how would you define now the Euro step? It's one step, 1.5 or 2 steps? Because a second step before, during our time, it would have been traveling, but now it's very
Right.
acceptable. So where do you think that the Euro step was established? So much so that the NBA even like it. A lot of Americans are
Mm-hmm.
the Euro step.
Well, this is a very, how can I say, uh, in Europe, of course, they all play it the same way. It's only in the NBA where they need that step probably to make that game faster or whatever. But I don't know how to describe it. We learned it all, and it's after a while you train. It's very natural. Yeah. Also, if you're referee or as a coach, you see that. If you watch the NBA, a lot looks for European eyes like traveling, But in fact, what Europe always wanted is to come closer to the NBA with the rules and
Mm-hmm.
everything. As you know, the rules are changed every 2 years in basketball, and they tried always to get closer to the NBA. So after a while, after let's say 10, 20 years, the referee will not call anymore. It's not a big difference now.
Well,
Nowadays,
you know what, Doc? Now, Doc, you mentioned about the Eurostep just being a natural to all the European players, and I think that's one thing that's very fascinating about seeing Manu Ginobili first introduce that really huge first step, going the Euro. Um, these are some of the things now that's being fundamentally taught in our players, and I'd like to take on um Coach Chris here to give us. I'm sure he's a huge Boston Celtic fan, but I'm sure he follows Dirk Nowitzki as well in the NBA. What do you think about the Euro step and the German contribution of German basketball to the development today?
The great thing about the Euro step and everything else is how basketball is so global, that pieces are all intertwined together to make the
Mm-hmm.
game change and evolve. Where before, overseas, for Americans, overseas players coming in, bringing in their habits, the game is adopted and continues to evolve. And, for the coaches that are on the staff, you have to evolve with that and really think ahead as to what's going to happen, in the future. So, it's just the introduction of the Euro step is just one thing, but, bigger players playing multiple positions, switching defenses, whatever it may happen to be, that for me, it's just the cool thing about basketball is global, and there's ideas coming from all across the world, all coming into a melting pot of basketball. And for those who study it and for those who adapt to that, those are usually the people that are most successful. So I think that's the cool part about it.
Yep, and the game really has evolved and globalized. In fact, we're learning from different countries now on how to play the game. A lot of the NBA has already shifted into how Euroball has been, and I feel that Dirk Nowitzki and Detlef Schrempf has really contributed a lot to how German basketball has been made popular in the not just in the country but also in the NBA. Um, Sir Henry, you remember there's a coach of Dirk Nowitzki. I forgot his name.
As
He
a
was actually,
personal coach, I think the personal coach.
yeah, the personal coach. Yeah.
I don't know the name, but he has his own coach, and I think the
Yeah.
Dallas Mavericks allowed that. So when he goes back to
Mm-hmm.
Germany, uh, he trains with him. So until such time
Uh-huh.
na he had already won a championship in the NBA,
Yeah.
he's retired. He's stuck with that guy, no? So I think
Yeah.
that helped a lot. A lot of coaches are against a personal trainers or personal coaches,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes they say
Mm-hmm.
that it all goes against their strategies or whatever program. But
Mm-hmm.
some coaches they like. so you can train on your own, at least for your personal development as a basketball player.
I agree to that what
Yeah.
you're saying, and it's especially people like Dirk Nowitzki. They need a personal coach because he had some difficulties also in the US. The game is much more physical, and he was has no muscles and whatever. And mentally, I tell you, you need if you play the game high end, you need mentally to be fit. The well, they all can play basketball, but the game is won here. You have to want to win. You have to change your player to a winner. Then that's the first step to be a star, like he was. You know, for that you really need a coach.
All right. I think. How about you, Aldrin? May you want to throw any question to Dr. George?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, sir, I have a question. I made a video about Dirk Nowitzki, I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago. And from that
Mhm.
point, I've been fascinated with the European basketball and very intrigued. Because on that biography, they mentioned that Dirk Nowitzki start to play point guard when he is a kid. So he can bring that talent even he grows some heights or some much taller player. So it's that true that all the players in the European basketball always start to play the point guard position, even in Europe, Spain, Lithuania, and other part of the Europe continent.
Well, the thing is, if you ask me as a coach, I want all my players to know every position. Also, when I train them, they have to find their teammates. So everybody has to take the moves of the guard. Everybody has to make some moves of the center. Where and basketball is a nice game when you can schedule it and you can organize it, and every teammate knows where the other will be at which time on the court. So you can pass blind, you know. So
Is it true?
everybody has to have also skills on the ball. Imagine some. Well, it's not usual that you start on point guard or whatever. You have your specialists, and
Doc, that
especially the tall
originally,
guys, is not really interesting to have them as point guards. I rather have them to make some moves under the basket and be strong under the basket and in rebounding. That's much more for me the intention. Of course, they have not the talent of a point guard because the height. How can they dribble? Still, I want them to prepare. In let's say you have a very close game, and you have to throw the ball in. Of course, I know that the other coach will guard my people and will leave the one that is not used to get the inbound. Is most of the time the long guy, the tall guy. Yeah, and then he gets the ball. He doesn't know what he has to do with the last 10 seconds or 20 seconds. So of course, I would also provoke that situation with my taller players, so that they get used and they don't get shocked in the game. They have that before, and also they will be 3-point shooters. I have a program for 3-point shooting. Um, Everybody has to do that, yeah? But more the point guards and the centers. I have extra training, but everybody has to do the same thing. In fact, to understand what is happening.
It's a,
Interesting,
it's a,
interesting.
it's a transitional game now. That's
Yes.
the biggest thing. It's a transitional game, and I think I understand when it's clock management at the end of quarters or end of halves. I understand that it's possession by possession game, but the majority of your game now is a transitional game. So you have to have players that have to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot in transition. And then on the other hand, defensive transition is a defensive transition game as well. But that I think is a big thing that came over from European basketball, just making it more of a transitional game, or more the stretch four now, because you can stretch out the floor in transition, more drag screens than ever before. I think the days of just walking it down and running set after set after set are long gone past. So that's kind of a blend as well.
Yeah, I agree to that. Without transition, you cannot play the game. Also, and it makes the game more interesting. Definitely. Of course, I don't know how you play your fast break, but I structure my fast break. I was a big fan of LA Lakers. I'm sorry for Boston, but at the time, Pat Riley was there, and it was really showtime. And I love this fast break. And I love, of course, a game with more than 100 points for myself. So I structured my fast break, and the centers will be the last to come in. You know, it's a long way for them to go and go back. Until then, I have already my basket is already done. So if the opponent scores, I want 10 seconds later to have my ball inside their hoop. That is the fast break. Get it out as fast as possible, and get it in. And then, of course, I love pressure defense, which is much more different in the U.S. In Europe, you're allowed to play a zone defense, which I did. I had my players will study all kind of zones, and also zone pressing, which was very successful. I don't want to get important is always that we play our game, and we don't play the game of the others. Yeah. That's what's making, I think, every coach mad. If his team cannot play its game, yeah, and the opponent tells us what game we play, then it's the first part of losing. If that happens, and you have no timeout anymore.
Mm-hmm. Coach, I have a Doc, I have a question for you. I mean, you've been exposed to the Euro League style of European style of basketball, and I'm just curious. You've been here in the Philippines for quite a while now, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen how the country has handled the training and the preparation for international tournaments. What do you think are the differences or improvements that we could adapt from the Euro style?
Hmm. Well, the first what I can see is um, the biggest difference is the height. I tell you, the height,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, if you don't have so many players who are that tall, the game is different.
Yeah.
And what else can I say? I see it less structured.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me most of the times it's a lot of pick and roll and things like that, and there's, you know, let it happen. It's not a structured game where I say, okay, we play this, we play that, and I read the defense, and then I see, there. And I have to play. Sometimes you have to play with two point guards and things like that, and then my guard calling the game, what we play against this defense, what we have right now. It's here. It's more on unstructured. That's what I see. I might be wrong, but my eye see that. I would have
Maybe
liked it more structured.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
because Philippine basketball is more for entertainment. For
But
entertainment, it's so different. Maybe I have another question that's bugging me. The basketball is the easiest way to score is go inside, right? And yet, if you look, a lot of people throw the ball from the outside because I think the evolution of the NBA. I think I'm a big fan of the NBA. I write a few things about the NBA, but I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised a lot. They Americans when they go NBA players when they go to the international arena, they have a hard time. It looks like there are fundamentally well. not sound, no, throwing on those 3-point shots. So much so in the Philippines, everybody thinks, they really believe they are the next Stephen Curry. So they would like even throw the basket from the locker room, maybe. So I think it's hurting the league. So I don't know what's your perception of that 3-point shot in the NBA is actually hurting the international brand of basketball.
Mm. No, I like the 3-point shot anyway. And there were a lot of. You're a Boston fan, right?
No,
So,
no, definitely not.
It's
I just
Coach
always
Coach Chris. It's Coach Chris.
Coach
He's a
Chris.
Boston
Well,
guy.
Coach Chris will tell you about Larry Bird and how much he loved the 3-pointer. Yeah, and of course you had also people like Scottie Pippen later, and I think the 3-point line made a big progress to the game. I love it, and also you get 1 point more for walking less. It's
Mhm.
but you have to know when you will shoot that ball. Not like a desperate shot, and the whole team should know when you will take the shots. That's what I mean with organized. Yeah. Even if my point guard goes there and stops in the 3-point line, nobody gets the ball. He shoots in the first 3 seconds. If he's open, please shoot it. I get 1 point more.
True.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
I
Coach
trained that.
Chris.
I
I'm
trained that,
sure.
and I saw that the people, if they don't take the open shot,
Uh-huh.
if it's open, of course
Mhm.
it's useless to if you're not open to take that 3-pointer. Yeah,
Right.
Mhm. No, in the
Yeah.
NBA, yeah, I think they cultivated it very nice. Yeah. Also, look at Michael Jordan or whoever. Um, 3-pointer is just an enrichment for the game. Enrichment.
so why not make
Well,
it a 4-pointer?
Again,
Why not make it a 4-pointer? Extend it to
probably
25
from the
minutes.
middle. From the
Then a
middle.
lot
now,
of, yeah, a lot of players are doing from the logo. Remember the
Yeah.
announcers keep saying
yeah.
that's a logo 3-point shot. That's around 35 feet, 40 feet. Why not make
Well,
a anyway? It's the evolution of
Well,
a
no. I
yeah.
4-point
But
think
shot.
I
but sir.
think it's good like that. It's good like that. It's good
Uh-huh.
like that, and I still can calculate where the rebound will come. If there's a miss, I can position my players that the rebound is in my hands. The 4-pointer from more far away. I think that's uh, more casino playing. That's not basketball.
Well, I'm sure Coach Chris has some things to say about the 3-pointer being introduced in today's game. Coach Chris, what's your take on that?
Well, I understand, all of those points, but as a coach, I also like to make that defense work. And if I'm just
Mhm.
coming down jacking up shots,
Yeah.
ill-advised shots, there has to be the tempo of the game to control the tempo of the game. And I want to make that defense work. I want to look for those mismatches on the court. And their best offensive shooter or player might usually is not always their best defender. So those are players that sometimes that I like to attack to make those, get him into foul trouble, get him on the bench, or make him work and tire him out. So
Mhm.
I understand I don't want to walk the ball down up and down the floor and do possession by possession, but also I just don't want to have it where we're just coming down and just willy-nilly shooting up shots just because we can get 3 points instead of 2. So there has to be the tempo. The tempo of the game, I think, is the most important thing to me, and clock management along with that. So, but that's just me. Other people are different. Paul Westhead back in the day at Loyola Marymount, it was different. But for me, I like to make that. I like to make that defense work at times. And not just make it like me. So
Right.
that on that.
Well, definitely, Steph Curry has really changed how the 3-pointer has been utilized in the game, and I believe that not just Steph but the
Yeah,
entire
but
Warriors.
now you name the player which is very unique. I tell you,
Yeah.
that's not the usual. That's not the
Hmm.
usual.
Right.
Because you can also shoot that thing with real pressure. What I like is to beat the defense with a 3-pointer, but have an
Mhm.
open three-pointer, and everybody knows that my player will take the shot. If he's not free, he will
Right.
pass the ball on in the system. You
Right.
know,
Right.
yeah.
When
It's
I feel also, Doc, that the volume of three pointers that Steph Curry is taking, and the Warriors
wow.
making him take it in the flow of the offense,
This
that's
is
really what
incredible.
changed the game. Right. It
But
is
that
incredible.
is insane. That is really insane what that guy is doing.
Yeah.
That's not if you have a player like that, okay, and
Hmm.
so much pressure. That's not really the. You have once in a while a player like this, but
Hmm.
that's not where I would bank my game on
Hmm.
as a coach.
Right. Yep. And
It's
the
nice
game
when
is
it
really
happens. Nice to have a player like that, but
right.
only that, I'm not sure.
Well, the
Co-
game's
uh,
really evolved a lot. Sir Henry, go ahead.
Coaches, maybe you want to. Uh, I want to tickle with you with some philosophies in basketball. They
All
say
right.
defense wins championships, offense wins regular season games, and girls. Okay, let's put it another way. They used to say, they used to say the best defense, the best offense is defense. But now because of the Brooklyn Nets, they're scoring a lot of points. They're saying the best defense is offense. What what is your take on this matter?
I think I'll start with Doc first, then go Coach Chris.
Yep.
I don't know about your experience, but in my experience, you have only very few people who like to play defense. Most people they want to play offense, but defense is of course necessary. That's why I as a coach played very different kind of defenses, so that the other coach cannot really read my defense. Or it's very hard to read my defense on the floor. And also the defense, as I told you, is structured. Everybody knows where to go. In my defense, also a lot of double team. I want to get the ball quick
True.
so I can play my offense.
Mhm.
I don't want to defend. I don't know how many 20 seconds or whatever. I rather have the ball earlier, and I love to make a pressure defense. Like when I score, immediately I go on the opponent. I love that, so I can play my offense more. So it's something which defense and offense has to be both. You cannot score with defense. You can get the ball,
Mhm.
but to score is scoring. That's why in my team, I want to score over 100 points every game. That's what I want. And let the opponent do 100 points against my defense. That's what I want to avoid. Then I won the game. So if I make more than 100, and I can leave them under 100, then all my games were won. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I had a season where I had an average point of 98 points per game. That's very close to 100.
Mhm.
And of course, if you put pressure, the game gets faster. I can play my game and I score more points because they don't come even in our half of the playground. So better
Yeah.
defense where the ball comes in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the
Should
more
be
points that you,
effective, but it's
the more.
not everybody's favorite. I tell you, defense is
Uh-huh.
not everybody's favorite.
Right.
It needs a lot of communication also. You really have to train that. It's
That's right. Doc.
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Doc.
But if it wins championships or a game, that's I'm not sure about that philosophy. Both is you cannot win also with only playing defense. I tried that, and I had a very good team in defense, but we didn't score. So
Hmm.
what's that?
Uh-huh.
I
Well,
rather
that's a different story altogether, Coach. If you want to win games and you want to win a title or a championship, that's where I
yeah.
think
What
the
I
difference
have to score.
on
I
the.
have to score.
Yeah.
You don't win the game by defense. You get the opportunity to get the ball more often.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You have to
But
strike a balance between the two. Right.
well, I in my training, it's more offense than and defense, and it's only the structure what I give, and
Mm-hmm.
how who goes where, and how do we switch, and how do we double team, and that's uh, that's not the exciting part, but everybody knows that. It will take
Mm-hmm.
a long time until they understand. But as soon as they understand, everything is okay.
Yep.
Still, I prepare my offense. I get
Mm-hmm.
uh, I get my offense. That's very important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
About the
I
other
spend more
coach,
time
Coach
in offense.
Daleo. Coach Daleo,
Coach,
what's your take on this
what's your
matter?
take on that, Coach?
You know, it's possessions. It's the people with the most possessions give you a chance to score more. So how are you going to get more possessions? How are you going to get more basketball? So we're going to pick up full court. We're going to trap. We're going to defend. If you can get, I've always looked at it. If I can cause 25 turnovers a game by my opponent, and I'm only turning the ball over 10 times myself, that's 15 more possessions of a possible 30 more points. So if I can get those 30 extra points, I know I'm in a good chance to win that ball game. So mathematically speaking, I have to get the ball more. I have to get more possessions. So then how do you do that? Well, I'm going to pick up full court. I'm going to make that offense work more. I'm going to trap more. I'm going to gamble more. I'm going to get in the
Mm-hmm.
passing lanes more. So that is for my practices. That's a focal point of my practices of deflections, turnovers, and possessions. And then for your individual skill work, that's where you really work on your offensive stuff. Your bigs are working on your low post moves, short corners, and things of that nature. That's your individual skill time. But for me, it's transition defense, transition offense, and then defense in the half court set with good rotations because I need more possessions. That's the way I construct my stuff. So to answer Henry's question, if you're giving up 100 points and you have a bad night shooting, you're going to lose that game. But if you're playing good solid defense and you're getting those extra possessions, your offense can sputter a little bit, but you're still providing yourself more chances to win that game.
Right.
That's just me.
Well, personally, me, I'd say that I'd have to agree with Coach Chris. There's actually two ways when you can speed up the game. It's not just on the offensive end, even on defensive end, where you can, I call that a multiply. When you quickly score and you go on a press immediately, so that's when you multiply your possessions. So you make the game quicker and faster and higher opportunities for you to get another possession. But I don't think that focusing on offense could win you titles. I think that's proven already in the big stage, even here in the PBA, even in the NBA. I mean, we've seen the 7 seconds or less teams of Mike D'Antoni. He's trying to do it now also in Brooklyn with the help of Steve Nash. And they tried to do it in Houston. They tried to do it in Phoenix. But, they still got outplayed by the triangle offense teams of Kobe Bryant and the motion offense of the Golden State Warriors. Well, primarily because it's predicated more on the defensive end. You have to be able, when it comes to possession by possession, and it gets to that last possession of the final game of a game seven, you have to be able to play defense. And it's not
Yes.
offense. Offense could get you the lead, but once that final set in the final game comes in, you have to be there, a man in front of you, between the man and the goal, to be able to protect it and hopefully get that win. So to answer
Right.
your question, I
Yeah.
guess it's not
Of
enough
course,
that the offensive end.
yeah, but
It's it,
you cannot
it's nice.
you
It's nice for the
cannot
fans
win
though.
the game by defense. That's what I mean. It's exactly like we in
Mhm.
fact all agree. Defense is
Right,
necessary. You
right,
win by scoring. Yeah.
right.
And you need the ball. That's why you play defense.
Yeah.
And I'm very underestimated. Where I had also big eyes on is free throws. I want to
Mm-hmm.
score free throws.
Mm-hmm.
My player will not go out and shower if he had not three successful free throws in a row. Even if
Mm-hmm.
it takes the whole night, the last shot.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it takes the whole night, he will not go out. So under pressure, also free throws, and that's what I train. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you, I don't know about your stats here, but for me, at the end of the day, the free throws really win the game. Who is the better free throw shooter? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Especially those people who are fouled.
Mm-hmm.
The the tall guys.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They somehow have most of the time, in my experience, uh, a lesser talent to shoot free throws.
You
So
know,
it's
Right.
always a good foul if you foul that guy. You know.
And it doesn't take too
I
much
don't like.
skill to make a free throw because nobody's guarding you. It's just, you have to have that rhythm and you have to have that kind of like
Yeah.
structure on how you shoot it.
Okay. How
Yeah.
many? How many do you do? How many? How much is your percentage in free throws?
My team's roughly about 87 to and 90%.
Yeah.
Well, we
I
spend a
know,
little time on
Mike.
the free throws. Though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So the 10% I will have. I want to have the last of the 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I want
90
to
is better.
yeah, I want
And
to to that.
the pressure
Mm-hmm.
on the free throw
Mm-hmm.
line. It's
Mm-hmm.
You know,
not that easy. You have to be very concentrated, and you have to know what you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is looking at you, and you can be a big asshole if you miss one important free throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I
What is
guess Sir Henry here has a
I
Yeah.
want
yeah. Sir Henry here has a question. Go
I have
ahead,
an
Sir Henry.
anecdote to that about free throws. You know,
Uh-huh.
1954, we were in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the Philippine team. We won uh, the bronze medal, World Basketball Championship 1954, the highest position by a Asian country up to now. You know, there was one interview with Lauro Mumar. You know, he was the Fox, no, Mumar, one of the national. You know what he said? The team captain of that team. No, you know what he said? The
Mm-hmm.
key to our winning the tournament were the free throws because we were making the free throws, but our opponents were not. So he thought he could he see that free throws are so important. That's why when he went to PBA coaching, professional coaching, that was one of the things he said that it's free, so you should be able to do at least 85%. And because he said,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we were trained to make those free throws in 1954 when we were
Mm-hmm.
in Rio de Janeiro, and they won the bronze medal. That was part of the story, no? The free throw
Mm-hmm.
percentage. They were, I think, 88%, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So
I
I
think
guess that shows how important the free throw is. Brian, was it you that's speaking?
no. Yeah, Aldrin has an interesting question. I
Yeah.
want to hear it. Yeah.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Aldrin.
Mike Aldrin.
Probably
Your
better with
mic's
my.
on mute. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mic is auto shutdown. So, actually, I have two questions. The first one is we talking about defense and free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Then I will combine those questions because why those good in defense, really bad in free throws? Like Bruce Bowen, good 3-point shooter, but a very bad free throw shooter. Rudy Gobert, decent free throw. Andre Drummond, good defender, but I don't know his free throw is maybe 50% or 45%. Ben Wallace, some names good in defense, but really really bad in you call that free throw line. What you take on that, coach?
So let's hear from Coach Chris first, then we'll go Doc.
All
Go,
right.
Coach.
I don't know why some guys are bad at free throws. They just got to practice some more. I can't. It's very frustrating. You can do offensive, defensive subs. You can see when you're in the bonus and look to put a guy on the bench if he's a bad free throw shooter at crunch time. But I can't answer why some guys are bad in free throws. Shot doctors, guys have made a living out of it, just trying to help guys in free throws. Shaq couldn't make free throws. But I can't. I don't have an answer for you. My answer, I guess, I do have an answer. Go practice more. Practice your free throws.
That's the long and short of it, right, Coach? That's the
Yeah.
long and short of it, right? Doc, about you?
Well, basically, I agree. That's why I said if I have a player like this, he will not go out of my gym if he doesn't practice the free throw, and even if he stays the whole night. So I was able, very poor free throw shooters, yeah, I got them into reasonable free throw shooters. The free throw is really something where you have to concentrate, and it has to be a ritual. You should make it with closed eyes. They wake you up in the middle of the night. They give you a ball, and you should be able to score a free throw. That's what I think about it. Why do the good defensive players not shoot good free throws? If I don't know in your teams, but at least in my team, the defenders they get the ball less often in the game. When they get the ball, they pass it to somebody else, and that's it. They're not really supposed to be in the offense, and they are not fouled that much in the offense. So when they have a situation like they are fouled, of course, it's a different situation for them. That's why I train it for the whole team. Free throws, I train it very much, and under pressure, always. Yeah. Mhm. So you have to take a sprint between the free throws, so that your pass is already a little bit, and the pressure that you cannot go into the shower, cannot see your girlfriend, nothing.
Give them added motivation, huh? Well, I guess I have to agree with Doc and Coach Chris. It's really just a matter of preparation. I feel that we also have really good basketball players that are good on both ends of the floor. Like for example, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They're pretty good at the free throw too. But I guess the names that you mentioned, Aldrin, are really more confined to that role of being defensive players. And I understand though that when you once you're on defense, you're really more concentrated on conditioning because that's really the primary thing about defense. You have to be well conditioned. You have to be able to run with the guy that you're guarding, be faster than him, be stronger than him, be a higher leaper than him. So maybe that's where it offsets the time that you kind of use for shooting free throws and other skills for that matter. So maybe that's where the difference is. Sir Henry was raising his hand.
I think it's also a mental thing. Mental
Mm-hmm.
thing. If you some guys do a lot of things that they know out of this world, like putting your hand in your face before making a free throw, having your hand ready, bounce a little, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like Karl Malone. So I think it's a mental thing. So when you go to practice, there's no pressure. There are no people booing you, everything. So it's really more uh, something na mental that you have to toughness, mental toughness. No? It's part of your DNA. If you're gonna make it maybe 75 to 80%. So it's really a mental thing. I feel a lot of people when they miss 5 and 6, like 6 consecutive free throws, they're out of sync in that
Mm-hmm.
game. That's why they're shock, foul shock strategy because they know they
Mm-hmm.
got to you already in your mind that you won't be making a free throw. So it's
Yeah.
very very hard also to train to make your free throws because under that situation, under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
you have. That's why they said you have to have grace under pressure. No, that's courage. No, by American author. So it's so different.
Mm-hmm.
But again, 75% is possible. Just like going to the exams. When you go
Mm-hmm.
to classes, you get 75. You should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like
And
more. I
more
like
than 75%.
90 up, please.
Uh-huh.
Free
Mm-hmm.
throws are very important. I
Yep.
spend time in that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you're a player that develops your overall game, that's where a lot more of the negotiations from a recruitment standpoint really comes in, and it favors the player. So I just want to shift now over to the Philippine scene here in basketball. There's been a lot of news over the past week, and speaking of players evolving and getting a lot of opportunities for recruitment and better contracts. I'm sure you guys have heard about Ray Parks, the story of Ray Parks. He's a PBA player. He plays for TNT and Talk and Text, and they changed their coach to Chot Reyes is now taking over the coaching staff of Talk and Text, and they're under negotiations with Parks, but apparently late this week they got news that the Ray Parks does not want to play for the season, and that he was going to take a break and to take care of the mom. But apparently, there's a post somewhere in social media that showed he wasn't in taking care of his mom, and he was in I think La Union doing some training with one of the more famous surfers here. I think I'd like to hear from Sir Chris about this. So, Sir Chris and Sir Henry, what do you think about this? I'll start with Henry, then Coach Chris.
I
What do
have
you think about this?
I have no actually inside report on that. Except maybe does he have a contract? If he has a contract, then he has to be more professional than that. Now, if he doesn't have a contract, then we can't do anything without any legal basis, we cannot do anything. But I mean, I don't know. Also, maybe there's that anger. Does he want to play for Chot? That's another thing. Nobody thought of
Well,
maybe I'm
y-
playing the devil's advocate. No, he doesn't want to play for the new coach.
well, that's
Maybe
one angle that came out, Sir Henry, because I believe from the news that we're hearing is that Talk on Text was actually offering him, I think, 600,000 something on a monthly. Not sure about the numbers, but it's a huge number. They're even willing to throw in everything just to keep Ray Parks. And so they were totally surprised that he just opted out and wanted out not to play the season.
maybe I have a fertile mind. Maybe if I have a fertile mind, then I'll just say maybe he didn't want to play for Chot. Because
Hmm.
money is everything, especially pandemic times, money is everything. But if you don't want to play for a coach, maybe, and that's nothing against a Chot, no? Maybe he doesn't want to play for the new coach. So maybe that's
Hmm.
but if he has a contract, he has to honor that. It's as a
Hmm.
simple. But if he doesn't have a contract, he can't really do anything. You just
Hmm.
let him walk away. But if he has a contract, he has to honor that, regardless who is the coach.
Yeah. Coach Chris, have you heard of this news?
Of course, yes. I heard of it, and I'm sad in one way because he's such a good player, and you
Hmm.
enjoy watching him play. And
Yep.
so for that, and that on that side, you want your best players out there. You want players to feel comfortable. You want them to play, and you want to watch them play because that's why
Hmm.
you're a basketball fan. On the other hand, I agree with Henry where he may not want to play for that coach. New
Hmm.
coach, different system. You know, coaches have to mold their system to the players that they have. Some coaches don't do that. I don't know, what goes on behind the scenes with that. And also the other side is, if you think you're going to go play someplace else around the globe, the landscape has changed with COVID. There's only 12 G League teams playing. So that's another, I don't know how many, my math is bad, but all those players of all those G League teams, they're out of work and they're looking for jobs. So
Hmm.
they're going to have to take jobs.
Hmm.
A lot of countries have closed down still to COVID. They're not open up. So all those people are still looking for jobs.
Hmm.
So the market value for players has gone down because of the surplus of players that are all looking for jobs.
Hmm.
So that's on one thing. But on the other hand, I agree with Henry that maybe there's something that happened or there's something going on with that coach or the hiring of that coach or something where Ray's not happy about it. Now hope they can come together and get him on the court because
But here's the thing.
I enjoy watching great players play.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Coach Chris. Before I get to Aldrin and get his side on this, here's the thing. Coach Chot Reyes is actually a solid coach in the Philippine basketball landscape. He's one of the best coaches here. He's won multiple titles in the PBA. He's steered the Gilas team in the FIBA tournaments, and it kind of like makes you wonder why does a Ray Parks not want to play for one of the best coach in the country? Um, Anyone could ask that. Aldrin, meron ka ba? You have any news on that?
Actually, on that, I don't want to talk about the problem, but I just want to say, I want to use the script from the Moneyball movie.
Mm-hmm.
They are professional basketball player. So you're professional, be professional. If you wanna don't want to play with that coach, tell him, I don't wanna play.
Mm-hmm.
Trade me. Direct to the point. In the NBA, they said that trade me. I want to go this team. Here in the Philippines, it's very different because you look the drama that something happened. In the Moneyball movie, just say one line there that's very famous to me. You will be choosing, are you ready to shot on the head or stab on the chest and bleed to death? So
Mm-hmm.
right now that is happening to Ray Park's career. So if he don't want to play with TNT, just say trade me. Simple.
Yeah.
Trade me or not. Tell the real reason why he really want to take a leave of absence. As I mentioned, family problem. So on the management side, primary problem, go. Don't take another scene or another angle of that issue that he have a family problem. So be professional. Professional. So PBA, one of the oldest professional league. So from the player and the management, that's one word, two words actually. Be professional on your job. Doon lang sa akin.
Thank you, Aldrin. Doc, what's your take on that?
Well, for me, as I told you at the beginning, the coach is a very important figure in that game. Of course, the coach cannot is not able to play the game, otherwise he would be the player. And if you have a talented player like that, it's a matter of arranging with the coach. But if I look at the side from sports management, if I have a player who doesn't want to play with the coach, and I want to have that player, probably even as a coach, I would say, okay, then it's not my place.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the team is better in the long run without that guy if the coach is good enough. I had also some situations where players were kind of rebelling. I just remove them. I have to play my game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or I will be removed as a coach. That's so easy. Yeah.
That's right.
So, it's still the team who wins. It's not only one player.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings with that. I feel with the coach, I can feel also with the player. But at the end of the day, the player earns money with that. He should play his game, and he should try first to play with that coach. And if it's successful, okay. Otherwise, he says, no, I don't want. And I agree with just trade me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Ray Parks is actually a fine gentleman, if I may say, both as a player and as a person. But I guess it'd be interesting, Brian, to hear his story. I'm sure you guys in media have more to look forward to coming out of this story. But is there any chance that you can get news on on Ray, or do you have anything on that news?
Coach Mike, that's the reason why I got you, so I won't talk.
But when I'm here, you have to talk.
Right?
What's your take?
It's mixed. I'm sad to say, Coach Mike, I already had a chance to meet Ray Ray once.
Good
I'm
kid.
not too good kid, but when I talked to him, I wasn't really well. I'm gonna keep it at that.
Mhm,
I wasn't. I was a bit offended, to be honest, when I got to
mhm,
talk to him.
mhm,
Ever since then, I avoided the topic. That's why I don't want to talk about it. But I've been hearing a lot of things.
mhm.
Um, I'd rather leave it at that. I don't want to talk
Yeah,
anything. I don't want to spur any controversies.
right.
I'm just gonna say that when I interviewed him once, I
Mhm,
didn't like it. I didn't
mhm,
like his approach at me.
mhm. Well, maybe some of these controversies. Well, even with us, without us talking about this, it's already controversial in the week story already for Philippine basketball, and we'll see more progress on that, and hopefully we'll get Ray Parks back and play for TNT. It would be good to see that combination of Ray Parks and Chot Reyes. Sir Henry, you want to add
You know
anything?
what? Maybe again, I have a fertile mind. Maybe Bobby Ray Park is more of a Filipino than an American,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
because Filipinos have a soft heart. They would use other flimsy reasons to camouflage what is the real reason.
Uh
On
huh.
the other hand, in contrast sa Americans, they're so blunt. They don't
Mm-hmm.
care. Trade me or else. That's player empowerment, Black Lives Matter. Doesn't matter. But
Mm-hmm.
we Filipinos, I think Bobby Ray Parks is a Filipino heart. He's softer, very gentle. So I will try to invent, maybe, fertile mind, invent something that will camouflage the real reasons. Because we do it that way in a Filipino culture. We don't like to hurt people. As far as I know,
Mm-hmm.
just say
Mm-hmm.
things na even if it's not true. At least that's my take, no?
Yeah.
Tito Henry, correct yun, Tito Henry. Because when I'm doing something in my office and I need to leave, Sir Mike, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, nature ng Filipino, Aldrin, eh, no? Ganun talaga, eh. That's how it is.
Meron
Before
pang
anything else,
lang namamatay.
yeah. For anything else, Doc, do you understand Tagalog? I understand you've been in the country for quite a while. Do you speak Tagalog?
Well, a long time ago. I made a course in Berlitz, which enables me to understand. I can
Uh-huh.
watch Tagalog movies if it's
Okay.
romance and comedy. That's okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, there are other qualities of a Tagalog where it's harder to understand when the movie is, let's say, an action movie or
Mm-hmm.
news. What I cannot understand is that Tagalog in the church. That is
Okay.
hopeless for me. Yeah,
Okay.
but the conversations like here I can follow easily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's pretty interesting. All right, so moving on with that topic again, we hope Ray Parks clears things up with TNT, and let's make this a win-win situation for both the player and the team as well. Our next topic would be, that we're actually preparing. The country is actually preparing for our Gilas stint, our FIBA stint, and we've got our Gilas team again for reformed, and there's a question of whether should they participate in the PBA in preparation for the next FIBA tournament, or should they play in a foreign tournament. um, Coach Chris, go first, then Sir Henry, and then Doc, and then Aldrin.
Well, that's a great question. Uh, the first thing, because I ran sports teams in the past, I always have to look at the budget. If money's not an object or if everything fits within the framework of the budget, then let's look at the basketball thing, the basketball
Mhm.
side of it, because the budget may dictate where you're going to play. But to play in
Mhm.
the PBA like that and keep everybody home, let me just say this: as long as you're playing together, and the more you play, the better you're going to get. So we're going to get the most games, have the most time to develop. That's the way to go.
Mhm.
Also, that you can say, well, the competition may be better here versus here, but there's also, if you're playing a little weaker competition at times, that's also a great time for you to experiment, try some different things, to go deeper in your bench and give more responsibility to players. So there's two sides of every coin. Yeah, you want to play against the best competition, but also it's also nice to also play sometimes, take a step back and let your team develop under different circumstances. So I really can't answer which is the best. To see what's there, but I think the more you play as your team, the better you're going to get.
Mhm. Well, I'm sure that's an interesting take, Coach. I'm sure Sir Henry here has a lot to say about preparations, whether doing the PBA or going international. What's your
I,
take, Sir Henry?
I think
You've
at
seen
this
we've
time,
seen a lot of teams. Yeah, go.
I think at this time we have to play whatever games there is, no? There's
Hmm.
little time. I think June 29 or something, the start of it.
Yes.
You play only two games in Serbia, no? Belgrade, Serbia, no? Olympic qualifiers. So, I mean, the thing for me is not so much whether you're at home or on the abroad, no? Seeing that pandemic times, we really have to do something just by playing. Play competitive basketball. It doesn't matter win or lose. You just have to keep on playing to get the feel of it because I don't think how long these guys have not been playing since because
Hmm.
even the Asian Cup qualifiers were postponed. So I really don't know. So whether it's a PBA or international, you just have to play some competitive games before you go to Serbia. And when you go there, you really have to be more optimistic than not because if you don't, if you're really going there and you feel that you're just going to lose, why bother? Why go there, no? Two
Hmm.
days, you play two games, successive games, and if you lose, then you go home. But I would rather first step is to really play games, no? I don't know if maybe the barangay level won't do, the PBA level will do. We get some foreign teams, everything that will help to so that you can be competitive when you reach Serbia, no? I think
Hmm.
these players have not played a lot of games competitive, maybe scrimmages or something like that. So it's very hard at these times. So I would rather not think of whether it's a PBA, it's an international tournament.
Hmm.
Just play the game, win or
Hmm.
lose.
Hmm. Would you prefer Kai Soto to be joining the Gilas team?
Of course, after whatever happened to him, no,
Hmm.
all those water under the bridge, he can help though because there's really not doing that at this time. Even if you play in the Olympic qualifier. There's no draft yet. I think the NBA draft will be sometime in August. So yeah, August. No, well, late July, no, maybe at the just before the Summer Olympics. So I think he should go there. After all, that's that's his what he said. That's his commitment. That's why he went home
Yeah.
from the NBA G League. I mean NBA G League Ignite
G
team,
League,
no,
right.
to play for the national team. Now there's that opportunity to play for the national team. No? But again, that being said, I have enough confidence in him that he'll be somebody great. No? I think he's a good guy. It's just that uh, I think the handlers should be thinking more of him, no, than themselves. No? Nothing against
Yeah.
them, I don't know exactly. It's just that he's
Right.
so young, turning 19 May 5. He is a long, long way to go, and I still 3 years ago I said he'll be the first homegrown Filipino player in the NBA. Until now, I still do so. I said also that he could be the next Kristaps Porzingis. I still
Right.
believe so. So long as I said, he tread the straight and narrow path.
Yeah.
Discipline. That's very important because if the something gets into your head, then you really have a problem. No, I'd like it.
Right.
Even if I don't know for him, but his game speaks for itself. No, so
Right.
I think he should play for the Gilas team.
Well, a lot. I agree with what you said, Sir Henry. Well, some players, some pundits would say he'd rather for him to stay in the U.S. and continue or play in Europe, and some would say in Gilas. Well, it's really kind of like created that situation that's major difficult for Kai Sota right now. But we hope whatever he decides, what that would be better. That's an altogether one whole episode if we're going to talk about Kai Sota. But staying with whether the Gilas team should train in the PBA or go international for their preparations. Doc, what's your take on that?
Well, I would definitely go for international, definitely, but prepared. So if I go and play international with a team, then it should be prepared to achieve more experience and learning, and have really an opponent which I don't know over so many years already. And I would not play only one game. I would really that you learn much more. And of course, it's no matter. What did you say, Henry? No matter of win or lose or whatever. For me, it's always a matter of win or lose. That's why I play the game. I want to win. I want to win, and I want to find a method to win against that team. Even on paper or whatever, they are better than ours. There is no such thing than that. I want to be. I want to see what the players will internationally do. How can I come forward with my play if I play only? No. There must be a challenge, especially in those times like this. A challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
And
especially
you
in our
never
country.
know. You never know. Sometimes there are people there who want somebody from our team. It's also very dangerous to go there. They might stay there. And
Yeah,
especially
that
if
is one risk. That's one risk.
there's very
Right.
good basketball players there. And that's one of the best basketball nations in Europe. You know? Serbia. Yeah, hard to be.
Right.
Yeah, they have a big tradition in that game.
Right. It is.
I would
Thanks,
go
Doc.
international, definitely.
Okay. Better preparation and familiarity with the players and the teams that you get to compete
And
with.
not just go there and see the town. No, I really want to win. You know what I mean? It's preparation. I will study the opponent and their defenses and whatever they do. I would really make it. I try to win. So to
Right.
win. I don't go
Right.
there to lose. Yeah.
How about you, Aldrin? What's your take? PBA preparation or labas ng bansa?
Actually, Coach, there is two more questions before I answer that question.
Go
Actually,
ahead.
the first one is what lineup they will use for the qualifiers. Is that they use for the FIBA window or the PBA players? Because if
That's
they
right.
use the lineup for the FIBA windows, they should play in the PBA to not be overwhelmed with the other country. If they use the PBA players for the lineup, they should play outside the country because for tough competition. It's not good they use the FIBA World Cup, FIBA window lineup, then they play outside the country which is maybe the undermatch. So sometimes a much bigger player,
Mhm.
so different style. So for me, the first thing first, they should make the lineup first before they choose where to play.
Mhm. Because I think who was it? I think it's Chris Ross. Was it Chris Ross or Stanley Pringle who said something about to send PBA players instead for the Gilas pool, diba?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Chris Ross yata, Chris Ross. I think it was
Chris
Ross.
Ross, right? That's
Chris
Chris
Ross.
Ross, right?
Chris Ross.
Uh-huh. Wow. And well, we're hoping that this country is actually rooting for the Gilas team to take us back there into the Olympics and to the FIBA Worlds, and hopefully we're in the right path towards that. One other thing that came up in the PBA is that switch of the big guys, Stan Hardinger and Slaughter. That's a huge story. I want to start off with Aldrin here. Stan Hardinger goes to Ginebra and Slaughter goes to Northport after saying that he's finally after the sabbatical. He says, Greg Slaughter says, I'm ready to go back to the PBA. I want to go back to Ginebra. And here comes Ginebra shipping him over to North North Batampere. What's your take on that?
Actually, I have a lot of backstory on that issue, but I will stick to the question. Actually, coach, 7 feet is still 7 feet.
Mm-hmm.
One of my our friend coaches mentioned the philosophy of basketball never change. The high score we always win. That the
Mm-hmm.
height of the ring is always 10 feet, not 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 feet is 7 feet. The factor will be the changes is actually on the coaches. How will they
And the
use
system. And the
the
system. Yeah,
system?
right.
Actually, the system. How will they use C-stand and how will they use Greg Slaughter? So
Mm-hmm.
Greg Slaughter is not just a big. He can move, he can play, he can rebounds. But the system, is he
Mm-hmm.
fit on that system on
Mm-hmm.
Northport? So sometimes we talk with the friends with Coach Pido. So
Mm-hmm.
I know he is fit on that team on Northport. But on the other side, C-stand is different system from Coach Tim Cone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there will be an adjustment. For now, it's tie up because different system, different system. So it will be on the coaches. How will they use those two players?
Yeah. And I understand Coach Pido even mentioned that, he needed a 7 footer and that, Greg Slaughter would actually fit his needs. So he doesn't see any problems with that. Um, Sir Henry, what's your take? Who got the better end of the deal?
No
Ginebra or
comment.
Northport?
I think I, I think birds of the same feather flock together. So I really don't know which team owns what or which team. So maybe we'll just juggling the players. So maybe that's well, again, maybe I have a fertile mind. So just
Uh,
fun move from one team to another team. But when you draw your paycheck, still the same
mm-hmm,
company. Maybe, yeah. I don't know
mm-hmm,
because there have been rumors about that. So I'm too tired about that. There was already one case before that. Remember? So it's still the same thing all
uh-huh,
over again with but again,
mm-hmm,
if the PB commissioner approves it, what else can we do? We just have to accept it. Oh. That's
right,
my thinking. Huh? That's my thinking. Uh,
right,
uh, we, not all commissioners are like David Stern when
uh-huh,
when he canceled the trade involving Chris Paul to the Lakers. Remember way back? I don't know how many few years ago. Well, God
right,
bless you. No? David Stern is dead now. No, so
right.
that's it. We just have to accept it. Maybe after few years, we'll forget it. And there will be another case like that.
Yeah, paikot-ikot lang, kind of like before when we had that Fernandez and Gidaben scenario before
Yeah,
when they
long
couldn't
time
join one
ago.
team. Yeah,
Yeah.
time ago, right? Well, Coach Chris, I don't know if you have any idea on this. You heard of Stan Hardinger and Greg Slaughter?
Oh, come on. Yeah, we played against both of them at the Sea Games. You know, the
Right.
Bulldozer is one of my favorites
Uh-huh.
because he plays so hard. But, I agree
Mm-hmm.
with Henry, too. You just don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You don't know what a coach is really looking for. Two very good players. It's an exchange. Uh, the Bulldozer just plays so hard. And Slaughter's not a bum. I mean, he moves well, can shoot the ball well. Two very good players. So whichever is, the coaches want to comfort to complement their team, I'm all for it. Let's go play basketball.
Yeah, that's a good
Absolutely.
point. Doc, how about you? What's your take?
For me, my take is, as I did it always, um, you can train everything but height.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I get a tall player, I can train him, but it's always a good deal to have a taller player in your team. That's for sure. And as all the people said, it's up to the coaches. If the coach wants a tall player, he has his reasons. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Could have been me. I had also a very good team, all small players, very good players, all of them. Yeah, lack of height. I had to look for a tall guy. I got two. So then I started winning. The height is very important. So the coach who wanted that tall player made good work in my eyes.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of equal on both ends because both of them became best players of the conference in the PBA. So tit for that on that. But it really boils down to how they use it. To the other coach's point, it's how you use these players. Just like what Aldrin said.
Yes,
Agree.
you have to look what the coach wants,
Mm-hmm.
and if the guy fits also personally in the team. Not
Right.
every the teammates should also like him.
Mm-hmm.
And he should have also personality. Not every personality fits to every team. That's
That's
normal.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm not sure.
Sir Henry was raising his hand. Go ahead.
I was not sure. Does Stan Hardinger have a German blood? I think he has German blood, right?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he
So
does.
well, we can recruit him for Germany.
He was born in Munich, Germany.
Okay. So we
Yep.
can recruit him for the German national team. No, joking only.
Maybe you want to get him, coach. That's a good one. But Sir Henry, controversial as this question might be, I'm sure there's a lot of talk in the basketball community about a certain company taking, monopoly on the talent and the transfers within the PBA. What do you say about that? Do you think there is?
I'm from the old school. I
Mm-hmm.
came from a school. Well, talk about PBA. When they started the league 1975, there were 9 teams. All of
Mm-hmm.
them were independent. But now you don't even see that in the NBA when they started having the league, Basketball Association of
Mm-hmm.
America, 1946
Mm-hmm.
before it became the NBA. It's only one distinct team or one distinct franchise. Now you have a lot of things. So it's very, very hard because when you come, how do you fix the schedule that makes sure that by the time now you play against each other, you cannot do something weird that will affect the standings. So, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of questions before that, but again, you have 12, I think 12 teams now. You have some of teams have as many as three, some of them maybe four, or even have connections with the fifth team. So I really don't know because I'm still more outside of parity. I was thinking of a level playing field there. When during the early years of PBA, they really go to war. Now
Mm-hmm.
real war, because you root for one team against the other team that has no connection. We're not even sisters or brothers or even friends.
Right. Talagang competition, no? Once we get into that floor, no more friendships here, right?
That's right now, but we can be buddy buddy, and when we go to our company, we get our paychecks. We smile at each other and ask each other how much do you get paid. Well, I get
Uh-huh.
about one peso more than you do. Then I'll start
Uh-huh.
complaining also.
That's right. Well, you know what? It's been a very interesting conversation we had today in Sports Bites, and I'd like to give each one their parting shots. Maybe we'll start off with Doc, then Sir Henry, Coach Aldrin, and then Coach Chris for the parting shots. Doc?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So and well, I want to say that really basketball is I love really basketball. It's such a nice game. As I said at the beginning, team sport for individualists. Of course, you need some teammates. You cannot say Michael Jordan without mentioning Scottie Pippen.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar without Magic Johnson. You know, there has to be a spirit. A team has to be a team, and it comes from the coach. All the good coaches made their players a team. They formed a team. It's
Mm-hmm.
how much you sit on the bench, how much you play, how much uh, uh, you can take a responsibility, and this is so many facets in the game. That makes the game interesting, and that makes coaches coaches, and that makes players players. And whoever cannot do it better be a referee.
Better than officiate the game, get a license and referee the game instead. That's a good one, Doc. That's a good one. All right. Thank you, Doc. Chris, parting shot? Oh, no, sorry. Sir Henry.
You know, I learned a thing or two also about talking with you guys. No, so I was thinking if I cannot make it also to basketball coaching, I'll play chess, where it is less big. And also number one thing that escapes my mind until now, I wanted to ask for the doctor. No, who is the
Mhm.
greatest German player of all time?
Oh, yeah. I
Let
think you have to answer. He has to
or
answer that.
let Shrimp or Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, we'll put you on
That's
the spot, Doc.
Uh-huh.
Good question, Sir
That's very,
Henry.
of course, difficult to say who is the best basketball player ever. Is it is it Magic? Is it Jordan? Is it Larry Bird? They are two different types. Shrem and Nowitzki are different players,
Mhm.
completely different players. Uh, Probably Detlef Schrempf was the more consistent player
Mhm.
in my eyes, and better under pressure. But Nowitzki, he's also good. I think if I compare, well, there's a big age difference between the two, right?
And he's a
So,
world champion, Doc.
and without Schrempf in the NBA, there would be no Dirk Nowitzki. And Schrempf was also an All-Star. I
Right.
remember he was an All-Star. So I think he was a very consistent player and
Mhm.
also cool, very cool on the court, which Nowitzki sometimes is not. Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
more successful, definitely Nowitzki. In my team, I would have Detlef Schrempf.
All right. Kind of like old school, Doc. Huh?
Thank
Mm.
you very much. Thank you very much. At least I know where you stand.
Well, how about you, Sir Chris? What's your take based on what you've seen on both players? Who do you
I'll
think,
take
Dirk
Detlef Schrempf.
or?
I'll take Detlef Schrempf. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I go Detlef Schrempf, and Wilt Chamberlain in the United States is the greatest basketball player of all time.
Mhm.
And those two are my votes. And I just want to say thank you very much for having me on again. Just giving me a call this morning to get on was what really made my day. So I want to say thank you.
Well, it's always been a pleasure to be joining you, and well, we're gonna have more of these talks about hoops. And Aldrin, your parting shots.
Actually, want to thank you, Sir Brian, again, and for inviting me. And now I'm the resident friendly neighborhood. So I'm just call me. I'm just in the neighborhood. So Spider-Man bars. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, before anything, first we'd like to before I turn over to Brian, I'd like to thank everyone, the entire panel, for that was a fun conversation tonight, and hopefully we'll get to do this some more. We'd like to thank all the people who watched us on the live stream. To mention some of them, we've got let me see here, King Ramos, Coach Mike Sagigit, one of the really good coaches in the Philippine college scene, watched us as well. Cara Malyonga, Sir Brian. She says hello to everyone, and then Gab Pereira says it's an all-star cast for the day. I think we'll get more guests in the future, and to join us in this panel. Andy Dison, who else? Bebet Santos Anastasio says 3B hoops lang ang malakas. So in English, that it says that only Aldrin is the strong one in the panel. And also we got who else? Boyet Pagnamitan, who's a regular follower of us here, and Remir says, I guess he's alluding to that discussion when we had who's got the advantage over the Stan Hardinger and Greg Slaughter thing. He says that whoever is able to adjust to the system in place, I think take the advantage to it. So I think some of the coaches also alluded to that. So on that note, I'd like to turn over to Brian. Brian, thank you very much for having me again. It's always been a pleasure to hear you and see your messages inviting me in your shows. Maraming salamat. It's been an honor. Mute, papi.
Sorry. Thank you, Coach Mike. It's also a pleasure. Thank you for filling up for me because my head is really still spinning from yesterday. I had 3 live shows. I missed a lot. That's why, Coach Chris, thank you, Coach Chris. I'm very very sorry. I had that late invite, but I'm so happy you obliged. And Aldrin, thank you also. I just came to my senses at lunch this afternoon to whoever I want would be here. And Doc, I'm very very sorry for the miscommunication. But I saw the pictures. I'm hungry.
Come over now.
Don't tempt me. Anyway, thank you to everybody. And siguro maybe I'd like to encourage the ones who are viewing. If you want topics for us to discuss, you can also shoot us a question over at the page. Hopefully we'll have Doc again. Doc, are you open if we invite you again?
Anytime. I enjoyed it. It was a
All
pleasure for
right,
me. Thank you for having me. Anytime.
that's music to my ears. And on that note, I before I end this mic, I want everybody to take a picture because everybody might leave before. Okay, on three. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Finally. So that's it. On that note, thank you everybody for watching us. And next week, let's have another discussion. If you have any topics or from the panel, if you have any topics you want to pitch, just let me know.
Mhm.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.